Bluegrass Jam Along is proud to be sponsored by Collins Guitars and Mandolins, each and every one built from the sound up in Austin, Texas. Hi, this is Matt, and you're listening to Bluegrass Jam Along, the podcast for anyone and everyone who loves bluegrass. Hey everybody, welcome back to Bluegrass Jam Along. This is your Bluegrass Briefing for Monday the 26th of May 2025. And what's been going on recently? On the podcast last week, I had an interview with Wayne Erbson about writing about bluegrass for 50 years, essentially. He's written a ton of interesting articles which have been collected together in his latest book, but he's also written other books about the history of music, sort of Appalachian culture, history, food, all sorts of things. Really interesting chat. That is on the podcast. Go back and have a listen if you missed it. And some really cool stuff coming up. I've got a great episode coming this week that I've been looking forward to for a while. And I postponed this a few weeks ago just due to various things. And I finally got to have the conversation. And I'm so excited to put this one out. It's really, really good. It's Bob Minner, who you all know, who's been on the podcast before a couple of times. So we are chatting about Norman Blake's Whiskey Before Breakfast record. It's another one of these episodes where I invite a guest on to pick a favourite album and we talk about it. Critter came on and talked about Bella's Drive album. Tim Stafford did J.D. Crow's Rounder 0044. It's like a bit of a new thread on the podcast, and this is a really special one. Not only does Bob share what he loves about that record, we chat about Norman, his style, his influence, all of that. Before the interview, Bob phoned Norman and asked him some questions about this record, and so he's got some really interesting insights into sort of, you know, how Norman found the tunes for this record, where he heard them first, all that kind of stuff. So you are not going to want to miss this one. It's coming out on Wednesday, and it's Bob Minner chatting about Whiskey Before Breakfast. So that is on the way. After that, I'm still putting these together, but there's a series of 3 episodes coming out to essentially celebrate the David Grisman Quintet being 50 years old this year. If you remember, I chatted to David Grisman a few months ago about 35 years of acoustic disc and invited him back on to talk about the Grisman Quintet, because that sort of first got together in 75, even though the first album didn't come out for a couple of years after that. Just a fascinating time how that band got together. Sort of Grisman, Todd Phillips, Tony Rice, Darrell Anger, Mike Marshall, you know, just amazing sort of synergy of stuff, and I really wanted to celebrate that. So we've got 3 episodes coming. The first is going to be a conversation with Mike Marshall and Darrell Anger about that time and how they both ended up in the band and sort of that music coming together and all sorts of things. The second is going to be with Todd Phillips, who started out as the second mandolinist in that band, then moved to bass when Mike Marshall joined as the second mandolinist. And then I'm going to have a third episode talking to David Grisman about that time. I love that stuff. It's such an exciting record, that first Grisman Quintet record, but also it's like a bit of a marker, a bit of a line in the sand for a new era of acoustic, progressive instrumental string band music. So I'm looking forward to putting those out. So lots of good stuff coming, and there's more stuff coming after that as well. Yes, stick around, the podcast is going to be good. Before we crack on with the news stuff, I'd just like to say a quick hello to everybody from the South London Bluegrass session that I went to during the week last week. I haven't been to a session for quite a long time, and it was just really nice to hang out with some of the guys there. I know some of them a little bit, always nice to see them and nice to play with them. Thanks to Chris Lord in particular for putting that on, but also hi to Jack and Sed and Hillary and Jimmy and Laura and the rest of the gang. They make me work quite hard. I'm not as fast as they are, so it's a proper workout for me going and playing with them, and I really enjoyed it. Hopefully there'll be some more of those. But yeah, that is it. Let's move on and get on with the news and announcements, which is the segment we call Church Street News. And there's a few bits of news this time. First bit, 22nd Annual Romp Festival will take place June 25th to 28th at the Yellow Creek Park in Owensboro, Kentucky, part of the Bluegrass Hall of Fame and Museum lineup. They have got Winona Judd, Del McCory, Trey Wellington, Molly Tuttle, Steel Driver, the Dillards, Sam Bush, like really good lineup there. So the 22nd Annual Romp Festival, June 25th to 28th, Owensboro, Kentucky. But also they've got a really cool lineup of stuff going on at the Bluegrass Hall of Fame and Museum. They have a regular kind of bunch of live music going on, and there's some really interesting stuff. I would love to be there over this summer and see some of this. Mighty Poplar are going to be there. Ketch Secor, Rob Ikes and Trey Hensley, Danny Paisley and Southern Grass are doing part of their 50th anniversary tour. They'll do a gig there. Jason Carter's playing there, and Billy Strings and Bryan Sutton are doing a couple of shows on their duo run, which I would love to see. I've been loving that record so much. But yeah, that'd be really cool. So, Bluegrass Hall of Fame and Museum. I'll stick a link in the show notes. Go and see what else is on as well, because that's just sort of part of it. There's a whole bunch of really cool stuff going on. So yeah, go and have a look at that. Also, in terms of live music, Green Mountain Bluegrass Festival, August the 14th to the 17th in Manchester, Vermont. Watch House, Molly Tuttle, Peter Rowan, loads of cool stuff, but also a Muleskinner tribute, which is going to be Peter Rowan, David Greer, Tony Trishka and Michael Daves, and that sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, that would be great. So if you can be there for that, go to that. That is Green Mountain Festival in August in Vermont. And another festival that is on is Hardly Strictly Bluegrass, October the 3rd to the 5th, Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. I'll put a link in the show notes. You can go and see what's on there. But also, they're doing a really cool thing. The only artist who has played every year of the 25 years of Hardly Strictly is Emmylou Harris. And so they're doing a tribute to Emmylou, October the 2nd at the Masonic. And it includes Albert Lee, Margot Price, Alison Russell, Patty Griffin, Roseanne Cash, Sam Bush, Sean Colvin, Steve Earle. That sounds like a lot of fun. So Hardly Strictly, but also the Emmylou Harris tribute on October the 2nd. Have a look at the link in the show notes and go and check out tickets for that. And the last bit in this section, Carolina Chocolate Drops documentary, Don't Get Trouble in Your Mind, is on Amazon to rent and to buy. I haven't watched that yet, but I'm really looking forward to having a look at that. I haven't seen it. So that'd be fascinating. The Carolina Chocolate Drops documentary, Don't Get Trouble in Your Mind. That is it in terms of news and announcements. Let's move on to the segment with the new releases, which we call The Grass is New. And what have we got for you this week? We have got Bluegrass Jam Along favourite Missy Raines has a new album out called Love and Trouble. Do go and check that out. I put a single in the playlist a couple of weeks ago, but the record is out in full now, and Missy will be touring for that. Keep your eyes out. Go and see where she is with the band. Deanie Richardson and Kimber Ludica have got a new single called Cackling Hen as well, which I've popped into the playlist. And who else? George Jackson and Tristan Scroggins. You might remember George came on the podcast a while ago. They had this cool project called the Old Time 100, and they basically got some friends together and recorded 100 old time tunes in a day, and they're putting them out in chunks of 20, not only to listen to, but also like tabs and transcriptions and videos and all sorts on their Patreon pages. Very cool. Volume 2 is now out. I popped a tune from that in the playlist as well. I'll stick a link in the show notes to both of their Patreons as well if you want to go and check out the tabs and the tune books and all the other stuff. That's a really cool project. So yeah, George Jackson and Tristan Scroggins Old Time 100 Volume 2. What else? Not really bluegrass related, but very much coming from somebody who lots of bluegrass people love, so we're going to talk about this anyway. Katrina Lichtenberg and Mike Marshall and friends have a new album out, which is available to buy on Bandcamp. Real range of stuff. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to listen to that yet, but that looks really interesting too. So do go and check that one out. Link in the show notes to their Bandcamp page to go and find that. All the stuff that I talk about in this segment of the podcast is on the Grass is Mostly New 2025 playlist, which is on Spotify, and there's a link in the show notes to that. It's a really good way of just sticking something on shuffle and hearing a load of new music that's come out this year, because there's been some great stuff. And yeah, go and have a look at that. That is it for this segment. Next bit is Scroll On Buddy, which is just something that I found on social media, thought you might be interested in. And this week's thing, Billy Strings is heading back over to the UK, and this time round is playing the Albert Hall, which is such an iconic venue. I spotted this on social media. It's a very, very cool venue, the Albert Hall, and been host to so many kind of iconic shows over the years of all kinds of things. I actually played at the Albert Hall when I was, how old was I? 19 maybe. I played in a brass band and we played at the Albert Hall. And it is an astonishing space. I don't think I've ever been quite so frightened in my life as when I walked out of the doors at the back of that stage and saw that room in front of me. I was very glad that I was in a band of about 30 people and not just me. But it's an amazing space and it will be incredible. Billy puts on a show and that'll be a really cool space to see it in. So that is amazing. Also made me laugh because there's a very famous film of the comedian Billy Connolly doing the Albert Hall, which is called Billy and Albert, and it reminded me of that. But maybe that's just me. That is it for Scroll On Buddy. In my ears this week, I was saying before, I've just been digging back and listening to the Bryan Sutton and Billy Strings record, Live at the Legion, that came out a while ago. Just every time I listen to it, I'll find something more in it. It's just such an extraordinary record. So I've been listening to that. I've been listening to the new I'm With Her record, Wild and Clear and Blue, a lot because I'm going to go and see them on Wednesday. They are playing in a little record store called Rough Trade East in London in front of about 300 people. And it is going to be astonishing. The next night they're playing at the Barbican, which holds like 1,000, maybe more. But yes, to be able to see them. I've seen Billy Strings in that record shop. I've seen Sarah Jaros in there. It's an extraordinary little thing to get to see people in such a small space. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So yeah, next time I speak to you, I will have been to that. I'm very excited. That is it. Check back on Wednesday for the Bob Minner, Norman Blake episode, because I'm very, very excited to put that one out. In the meantime, if you want more information, go to bluegrassjamalong.com. Everything's there, lists of episodes, all of it. Go and have a play around, have a Google, go and check out some of the other episodes, because there are a lot of interviews on this podcast now, and I'm sure you might have missed some. If you want to support the podcast, you can do that on Apple Podcasts. A small amount of money every month goes to support the costs of putting this on. And if you don't want to do that, which I totally understand, just please do me a favour and recommend the podcast to somebody. It's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify, it's on YouTube, it's wherever you find podcasts. And yeah, word of mouth is really important to something like this, because I don't have a marketing budget. I don't spend any money at all on marketing the podcast because I can't afford to. But yeah, just people telling each other about it is a wonderful thing. So please do that if you can. I will see you next time. Have a great week and happy picking. Bluegrass Jam Along is proud to be sponsored by Collins Guitars and Mandolins, each and every one built from the sound up in Austin, Texas.